Hey guys, Hailey Lain aka Key Black here, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Cuff. More precisely, the episode where we'll cover the final chapter of the Death T saga of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fitting as I realize that this is the last episode that's going to air of 2023, so it's going to be ending the Death T saga, ending 2023, and starting next year fresh, so Happy New Year, everybody! This chapter is titled A Piece of His Heart, and it picks up immediately after the other Yugi's victory, performing a miracle to defeat Seto Kaiba in Death T5. Once again, some of the most fantastic expressions. Kaiba is just in shock at this. It couldn't be. It couldn't. He summoned Exodia of all things. It's funny, the first time I read these chapters, it was all back to back in the graphic novel compilations. But what I'm enjoying about doing these off the cuffs is breaking these pieces into chunks, which is allowing me to realize that this chapter, it's not 2 pages in where the other Yugi delivers his iconic mind crush on Kaiba. There's this fantastic panel when the other Yugi declares, "And for the loser, a penalty game." The other Yugi only gives Kaiba a moment to protest with a, "Wait, as his heart starts to beat faster before he goes full in with the mind crush in what is probably one of the more angry penalty games we've seen the other Yugi deliver. Like, this is pretty brutal. The other Yugi's already proven himself to be pretty sadistic, but this one's like, man, dude, that's harsh. I mean, like, I know Kaiba sicked a serial killer on you and then some, but still. There's that incredible panel where you can see Kaiba's mind shatter like a spherical puzzle as his eyes bug out with veins. The other Yugi announces, "I've shattered the portion of your heart that was consumed by evil. Goodbye, Kaiba." And Kaiba's only response is to stare blankly into the distance. Kaiba's not home right now. But while Kaiba is left sitting there staring blankly into space, the crowd goes wild. The other Yugi gets up from the table and has a moment of reflection where he realizes, yeah, my friends basically saved my rear end in my darkest moment. And meanwhile, Yugi's friends are cheering him on, delighted, ecstatic, so proud that he's managed to defeat Kaiba at his own game. There's a moment where Jinochi just looks, he looks so happy for Yugi, and Anzu sheds a tear that Yugi's no longer the weak, scared child that he once was. Jinochi, fantastically, never losing track of the situation they're in, also then regards that, yeah, we're still being held at gunpoint. What am I gonna do about this? But he only has to ponder for a moment before Honda, the man, comes up from behind and clonks one of the guys in the back of the head. There's this awesome panel where it's just his fist and his smirk as the guy collapses to the ground. Once again, Honda's the coolest guy here. He and Honda have this awesome tag team to take down the other guy, but the first guy's not completely down for the count yet. He holds Jinochi at gunpoint. It's not until Mokuba makes a surprise reappearance that he calls the guards off. Honda reveals that it was Mokuba who actually rescued him from Death T3's falling blocks. The other Yugi then returns from the battle box, and I love this panel because it's Mokuba who notices him first. So he's just standing there, he doesn't say anything, he's just kind of standing there awkwardly smiling like, "Hi guys." He looks genuinely surprised and delighted when his friends are like, "Yeah, Yugi, you did it!" He's so awkward, it's adorable. But as the gang is having their celebratory reunion, Mokuba awkwardly excuses himself, kind of uncomfortable at the display of genuine friendship. And it's Anzu who notices him start to leave, and she asks Mokuba, why is it that Kaiba went to such great lengths just to take revenge on Yugi? What was this all about? And again, this is one of the many reasons why I love Death T so much. It's the first real look we get at who Kaiba is, where Kaiba came from. Mokuba reveals that both he and Seto were orphans once upon a time, and it was when Gozaburo Kaiba, a very successful businessman, arrived at the orphanage that Seto challenged Gozaburo to a chess game, which Seto won by cheating. The bet was that if Kaiba lost the game, he would have to adopt both Seto and Mokuba as his own sons. But Gozaburo's idea then of being a father was this incredibly abusive, harsh, strict, like rigorous schooling program that basically turned Seto Kaiba into his greatest enemy, to the point where Seto drove Gozaburo to suicide to take over the company. Mokuba wonders for a moment if it hadn't started with that chess game, if that simply hadn't happened, would he still have the same brother he remembered having as a child? And it's only at this point that the other Yugi finally speaks again. He tells Mokuba that Kaiba is reassembling the shattered puzzle of his heart, one piece at a time with his own strength, so that this time he won't make any mistakes. Someday, Seto Kaiba will return. And this is a fantastic plot thread that doesn't get resolved until Duelist Kingdom, which is ages in the future in the manga. So it's like, the slow burn. It's so good. There is this jaw-droppingly poignant shot of Kaiba as like the child that he once was in his heart is doing exactly what the other Yugi described. He's putting the pieces of his shattered heart back together, and there's this genuine smile on his face as he finds the first two pieces that fit, and it's like, right in the Kokoro! And then the chapter finally ends as the gang walks away triumphantly from Kaiba Land, the sun setting on this chapter very poetically in the background. Jinochi gets a call from the hospital, Sugoroku's doing okay, he's gonna make a full recovery, Yugi's delighted to hear it, Jinochi notices that Yugi's back to being Yugi again, and he almost asks about it, but then he's like, nah, it's nothing, buddy. And he kind of grabs Yugi in this adorable, like, playful headlock. And there's this, great, capstone kind of panel. As Yugi notes, he already knew what Jinochi was gonna ask. After all, this was the first time he remembered all of the battles they fought together. And that, my friends, is the end of the Death T saga in Yu-Gi-Oh! Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I've had a total blast going back through and revisiting and talking about these chapters. Again, this is like my favorite saga in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you haven't read Yu-Gi-Oh! Yet and you're listening to these for the first time, guys, I cannot recommend this series highly enough. We will be continuing on with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reread with the next chapter I want to cover is it's a sillier one, but still nonetheless one of my favorites. It's called Let's Find Love. So that's going to be a fun one to cover. But for now, guys, thanks again so much for listening and for watching. Once again, Happy New Year. Here's to the end of 2023 and to a brand new start for 2024. And I will see you guys in the new year. Thanks again.